Alright folks, heading out here real quick. I saw something unusual. Now we were just talking about this yesterday when I was over at Kent's place about these late swarms people are seeing. And what they're seeing is small swarms this time of year that have unmated or virgin queens in them. I said, man, I've seen it before, but usually they have a mated queen that I've seen, the few I've seen in the fall. But then I'm over here just gathering up some pine straw. I like to keep pine straw around and always gather it when I get a chance. And I see these bees floating in the air, just floating. Now they're not like it's like an orientation flight except 15, 20 yards in front of the hives. So I get those blades. I do the tanging thing. Now I'm not sold on tanging, but I'm not saying it don't work, but I'm not saying it does. But all I know is I tanged them. They were out here in the field. As I tanged them, I was out here and I walked back here in the shade and they followed me. They came from out there and they were hovering right here. They moved that way. When I tanged, they moved this way. Then they came into me and then I stepped back out there and looked up and they landed on that limb. And I don't know if you can even see it, it's so small. So what I'm gonna do right now is go get a ladder, see if we can vacuum them up and see if this thing has a mated queen or not. Because everybody's seeing these little itty bitty swarms. Well, some are seeing decent sized ones, but they're finding virgins in them this time of year. That's barely even worth putting in a box, to be honest with you. That's not even a frame of bees. So what is it? Who knows? I wonder if it's those bees I combined and maybe they finally said, enough's enough, we don't like this crowd, we're leaving. And they got nowhere to go. I don't know. So let me climb up and let y'all see just this. I don't even know if it's worth risking me getting up here for them, but look at this. What is this? What is that? I'm gonna vacuum them and see if I can see a queen and what they're all about. I've never seen one quite that small. I had one about 3 years ago, when I first got my my everything vac, matter of fact. And it was not a whole lot bigger, but it filled up about 2 frames of bees. That's not even a frame. But I think I can reach them and suck them up and just experimental purposes. They're gonna be of no use. But let's play around. I got some 2-frame boxes I can put them in. Ooh, I can smell the goldenrod out here. I can smell those hives. Swarming is also unusual with very little nutrition out. That's unusual. But the goldenrod is coming, so I got my remote right here. As you can see, here's my remote on my corner. That one to me is definitely a first. I gotta be honest with you. That's the smallest I've ever grabbed up. 3 or 4 more bees up there, but that's it. If there was a queen, I'm sure I got her. Now what I've learned with this everything vac, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, but you let it set, and that vent right there, it's blowing air out right now from the colony. And so those bees will gather. They'll smell that. If there's a mated queen in there, they would smell that. I highly doubt there is. I mean, I can't see that. There's more gathering up there. I'll probably go get some more off of there. But I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. But we got them. For what it's worth, we got them. I wonder if they were up there this morning. I was out there checking that nuke with y'all on video this morning. I would have easily walked right by that. Now, that could be a remnant of a swarm. That I have seen as well. But they wouldn't have been gathered in that little cluster flying around like that. And sometimes a swarm will leave and bees will come back and there'll be bees. But that's, I don't know. That's not normal. Oh well, I'll keep you posted. Let's look down in there. Just the smallest cluster of bees. I don't even know what to think about this. There's a little cluster of them on the wall there. I wonder if a queen could be in there. There's only one way to find out and dump them. By the time you dump this few of bees, you don't even know if they're gonna... I don't know what to say. It's not even enough to dump. I might leave them in here and see what they do. I hear a piping queen. Listen. Let's put this on. We got bees coming back. I don't know where they're from. This is in the shade. There's not enough to really, there's not enough that they'll suffocate each other. Let's just leave it. See what happens. But did you hear that? It sounded like maybe a bee that was stuck. But usually when they're stuck, they stay with that high-pitched buzz. It didn't quite sound like piping, but it might have been an off-tune bee. Who knows? I don't know. This is odd. I'm going to leave them here. The bees that are up there, the few, I think that's what's coming down here and investigating. So let's see if they smell anything. Let's just see what they do. I went and grabbed the camera real quick because what I did was there were still, I don't know, 20 bees flying around the top where the branch was. And I said, well, let me turn this on and blow some of that air from the exhaust up there. And immediately the bees came down. There's still 3 or 4 up there, but they immediately came to the top of this thing. As you can see, that blew up there to that branch up there, and they came right down. My goal is to congregate them on there, and I got a little 2-frame with a frame of some pollen and honey on it. And then a little empty, kind of like partially drawn frame, and I'm going to see if they'll march in. I'm going to give a squirt of lemongrass to it and see what they do. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time and energy on this because I have things to do today, but I will spend some time. So I'm going to leave this, see if they'll congregate. They're kind of back and forth. They're torn. They're torn between where they want to go. I'm not worried about those few. It's just cool to see them come down to the vacuum. I'm going to stick this bucket by the entrance to this 2-framer. If you can see that, I'm trying to hold a mic, do all kinds of stuff, but I'm going to put the mic down. The bees came out of the tree and gathered. I'm going to stick this right here and just crack the valve a hair. Just enough for the bees to come out. There is a frame with some old bee bread. I don't know, let's just see what they do. They may not even come out and go in there. They might fly out and go back to that tree. Alright, there's a bee that just went in. Let's just see if they'll ease in there. I don't know. Never know. But all we can do is try. Because I'm not going to spend a bunch of time and energy. I'm going to let them do their thing. Just let them do their thing. So, we'll come back and see what happens. Okay, change of plans. I laid it on its side. They weren't coming out. They were all, they had finally, what they had done was gathered on the side behind the wire. So I said, well, you know what do I got to lose? Let's take this lid off. I kind of made a tunnel for them, and now they are actually going in. Look. Look at them. They're actually going in now. A few of them. So let's put this back. I'm kind of forcing them through a little, a small, narrow opening. And I'm just going to leave it like that. What I don't want is any robbing to happen. I don't want some bees from around to start smelling all this and come get it. But they are hitting the goldenrod right now pretty hard, so hopefully that'll keep them away. And let's see if they go in here. If they do, I'll leave them right here till we figure out what in the world this thing is. But they're going in there. They're smelling the lemongrass. There's honey in there. Not much, but there's enough for something that small. Some partial comb. All right, folks, so I'm walking back out here because I had to go get a battery. But I looked in this bucket when I came in to get some tools, and the bees had quit going in, and I think some robbers had smelled maybe they smelled the lemongrass. I don't know what they smelled. And I was like, oh well, just leave them set. So I came back, and lo and behold, the bees were out of the bucket, and there were a few of them, and I caught the glimpse on the lip of a bucket. I caught right here, the queen, and she looks mated. Literally, right when I walked up. I mean, tell me, now that was meant to be. So I grab her, and I run over and get my cage, and I put her in a cage, and this will keep her in. This will keep them in. Look, they've already come in there to get her, to rescue her. There she is. I don't know, it's hard to see her, but she's in there. And she looks mated. She definitely looks mated. So I'm going to put her in here. And I did take the honey out because I didn't want no robbing, and I'm glad, because I think the bees started getting attracted, and that's probably what got bees heading over here in the first place. So let me get my other hand here. There we go. I'm going to put her in here. I'm just going to hold her in here in this cage for an evening. The bees are now in here, so they've got, and what I'll do, I will get them some honey once they get in here and figure out if this is where they're going to be, because let's get the queen here. Let's get them established. Well, established as they can be. And we'll go from there. But there's a lot of bees in the air. This isn't a big swarm, but it sure looks like a bunch of bees in the air, but I don't even know what kind of swarm this is. So we're going to cover them up. I'm going to put this on top because this will keep my hole covered. And we're going to leave them do their thing. And their thing is to do what bees do. So I'm just going to leave them right there and let them figure out what's going on. It's not a big colony at all, so they're going to need food. That was so crazy. Like, I looked, wow, it looked like a queen. And then she went to come out, and she ran back in as I went to grab her. And I was like, well, let me pick this bucket up real quick before she flies. She looked like she wanted to fly. What was happening, I came in, and they were all starting to fly out of that thing. So I leaned the bucket up, and boom, there she was. Looks like my mic is back on now. Okay, so whatever the case. So the sound is probably awful. But nonetheless, all of a sudden, there she was. And I mean, I wasn't even going to come out here. My thought was, finish getting the car buttoned up and then bring your tools out. Well, I had all the tools in my hand and was going to go ahead and move them to the back of the carport. And I was like, well, I got them all in my hand in a good grip, and I'm just going to carry them out there. And give me a chance to check on the bees. It was that close. Thank you, Lord. But I'm saying that, but look at this little thing. What are they going to do? I'll give them some food. We'll see. We don't have to have, I mean, we don't have terribly, terribly cold winters. They could grow up a little bit, maybe. We'll feed them. I got a jar I can put on there and just keep feeding them. I can leave them sit right here the whole winter. That was crazy. All right. Well, who knows? That just makes me wonder, where in the world did they come from? Where could they have possibly come from? You know? A small little colony like that. Like, why would that even... If that was a virgin, then I'd say, ooh, maybe we had one that swarmed a couple times. But that queen was mated. Best I could tell. I don't know, folks. Beats me. All right, folks, here it is. I don't even know what to think about this little thing. It's so tiny. I gave them, I had a little bit of sugar left over in a bag, so I made them a little, I guess these things actually come down some. They drank a little bit. I gave them some sugar syrup. I'm sure they had a little bit with them. Could this have been the queen I released in that colony a couple 100 yards down? I don't know, I was thinking, maybe she came out. Maybe, you know, a few of her bees might have been in there when I had that brood in there. You never know. Maybe she came out and they said, hey, let's go back to where the old hive was. We know where it's at. Come with us. And then off they went, took the queen. A few of the stragglers said, we know where it was at, and there's probably some folks left over. Let's head back. And when they got part of the way across, I tanged them. And they stopped, and I caught them. Maybe this was from that other video where that deadout was, where they were robbing. Could they have been up in that tree for a week and me not know it? Maybe that's who escaped. Now that's not a joke. That could have been. You know, it very well could have been. That colony was right over there. Yeah. And the swarm was right above it. Because, I mean, that's not a normal swarm. Like, in other words, a colony swarming with a queen, yeah, it'd been small maybe this time of year, but not that small. I mean, somebody could have a new queen over there. I don't know. What I guess I'm saying is, that deadout was over there in that spot. They were right above there. Could they have been up there for the whole week? I wouldn't have seen them. Who would have saw them? And then yesterday they just happened to take off because they were out in between this shelter and those hives, that hive stand. That's where they were. They were in the middle, just kind of flying, floating, real slow. Is this the queen from that weak colony that finally just began getting robbed? Did they leave? Did she survive with a bundle of bees and abscond? Maybe. That might be a possibility. I don't know, that might be a serious one. The other one was a joke. Obviously, that queen wouldn't have found a few bees that she knew, and or maybe her babies that were in the brood and said, hey, let's go over there. No, that's just me joking. It's cloudy and cool. It's actually cool. Like, I got a few goosebumps from the breeze. It's beautiful. But I've already been in here and looked like this. My queen's been in here for a day and a half. Closer to 2 days than a day and a half. Let's set this sugar syrup off. Oh, okay. Okay. We're going to look in here. And this is their queen. They moved with her. Golly, they are bundled up in here. Yep, there's the queen. I just saw her. She's hard to see because it's hard to see her. We're going to let her go. I gave him just some partial drawn comb right here. And you can smell the lemongrass in there. They're on it. They have just deposited some nectar, so that's good. Because they look like they're kind of still clustering. And when they're clustering, they ain't ready to stay. They're just holding out till the queen is free. But they did deposit nectar. So that's a good thing. And this is just such a good frame. It's got a little old bee bread in it. Yeah, they deposited all the nectar there. To give her somewhere, if she's freed up, she can throw some eggs in. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. Watch her, 'cause she will fly. All right, she's down in there. I don't want to give her a chance to come back up. So she's in there. Will she leave? Will she stay? And all right, so here's the deal. I didn't give her any pollen because that's just detrimental this time of year. You give them pollen and you can have beetles in there like that fast. Might be one or two sneaking in there already. And they'll lay eggs in there, and the larvae, they'll just take this thing over. It's too small for them to even think about guarding against beetles. So what we'll do is we've given them, okay, you've heard me say it, we've given them what they need to succeed. I'm not going to nurture a colony, especially something like this. I don't even know what this is. This is crazy. This is the smallest by far. I've had some tiny swarm videos. There were at least like 2 to 3 frames. Some of them 2 frames only. This isn't even a frame. This isn't even a side of a frame. This isn't half of one side. I've never seen one this small. But like I do with anything, I won't nurture something like this. I won't nurture it. Like I won't start going pulling brood and all that. But what I do is give them something. I give them what they need to succeed. I try to set them up for success and not failure. So with this feed, viable frames, a queen and some bees, I feel like I've given them what they need to succeed before I decide I'm going to start pulling resources. I won't begin to expend energy, resources, and time on something that has bad genetics or can't succeed. Now, what I will say in this case, and that goes, look, let me back up. That goes with, they're sickly or something like that happens. You just don't know with absconds. They could be sickly, they could have disease, virus, spreading something. That was Dr. Harris talking last night. I mean, confirmed in me why I don't combine sick colonies. I won't combine a colony that's sick or even suspect. All I'm doing at that point is asking for trouble. I'm spreading stuff. It's not good. Same with this. What are they? Where they come from? Are they sick? Were they weak because they were sick? Viruses, spreading viruses. 10 or 11 viruses in the U.S. right now out of a 30 that Mites are vectoring in the world. There's about 31 viruses now, I think they're up to. It's over 30, just over 30. In the U.S., we're at about 11 or something like that. So, yeah, don't want to start spreading stuff. There's no telling what they could have. I don't know. But on this one, setting them up for success might actually entail giving them a brood frame. But again, it goes back to expending resources, time, and all that for what? Let's give them a couple days. So I will probably expend a little bit of time and resource on this one. I don't want to dig into colonies that are set. I just don't. Not right now. We're building, we're in the flow, we're in the goldenrod, they're making winter bees. Anyway, there you go. We'll see what they do. This is something I've never done. I don't even know. If they wouldn't have been flying, I would have never saw them. I honestly thought it was like an orientation flight of a colony, but then I was like, man, that's like 20 or 30 yards out, or 20 or 30 feet out in front of a hive. That's not right. Usually they do it right over the hive. So. Fun stuff. Always something with bees. Well, alrighty, folks. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. This is a crazy thing right here, but all we can do is let it pan out and see what happens. So, hope you enjoyed this little video. Last minute type of deal. I appreciate all y'all watching. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.